Hyper amount of benefits mentioned here.
What if you could unlock over $1 million in personal and business credit? That's exactly what Ray Reynolds can do for you. I'm talking about protecting your family and building your business with $100,000 in personal or business cash credit. And Ray can help you rebuild your credit score to 750. Ray Reynolds isn't just any expert. He helped the security chief of TRW that became Experian, one of the most trusted credit bureaus. If you're looking to get your finances on track, Ray is the man you should call for a 750 credit score. Call Ray at 800-427-5991. 800-427-5991. Join his live webinars and attend his weekly workshops to learn the insider strategies for hitting your personal and business goals. Ready for a 750 credit score and your first $100,000 in credit? Call Ray Reynolds now at 800-427-5991. That's 800-427-5991.
You ever go car shopping and just walk back to your old car and say, you know what? You're not so bad. Maybe a new paint job, maybe fix up those dents and dings. New car prices are going crazy now. Interest rates, prices, everything is up. Maaco can make your current ride look like new. Paint touch-ups, dent repairs, fresh bumper. It's a little like a car makeover is what it is. At Maaco, they make it easy. Come in for a free estimate, and their expert technicians will handle the rest. Quick turnaround, by the way. Real value. That's what Maaco does. And we're keeping our cars longer. So make your current ride feel new again. Before you shell out for something new, make your old look new. With Maaco's national reach and community focus, you're not just getting top-notch service. You're actually getting a partner you can trust. Go to Maaco.com today. You'll find a shop near you and book an appointment. That's Maaco, MAACO.com. And remember, better get Maaco.
It's time to head inside the Sports Lab. From the CJC on the campus of the University of Florida, it's the next generation of Gator sports media personalities. With the latest stories, news, entertainment, and drip throughout the Sunshine State. Now, let's don a pair of goggles and fire up that Bunsen burner. It's time to head inside the Sports Lab. Here's Hannah Mack and Michael Tubbs.
Lovely loud introduction for us today. All right, let's get going. It is Friday, and I have to say, there's a lot of reasons to be happy, right? One, it's Friday. Two, it's the month of August, which for me, that's my birthday month, so I'm even more happier than your average person. But we've got less than a month until college football is here. Let's go.
And the NFL's already back. Hall of Fame game last night.
There you go.
It is back.
Football is here, okay? You can feel it. You can feel the anticipation, and there's nowhere better to be than in the South anticipating college football right around the corner. Less than 30 days until the Gators play Long Island here in the Swamp. Boy, what a great way to start the show. On Monday, we did break some news that DJ Lagway, he has been dealing with a lower leg injury. He was in a boot for a little while. But on the bright side, Gators Online senior writer Zach Albaverdi, he talked with Paul Feinbaum about all things DJ Lagway and gave a little bit of an update on how serious this injury is. What do Florida fans need to expect? Is it time to panic? Is it time to worry? What does this mean? How does this go hand in hand with the shoulder injuries that he's had to deal with as well? But yeah.
The conversation is surrounding DJ Lagway and his health. I think that this injury, the latest one that he has sustained, had he not missed all of spring and been limited throughout the summer, this wouldn't be as big of a deal as it is. But that's the case. So to not have him out there your first day of practice, I think that was a disappointment. The good news, and I reported this today at Gators Online, is that he's been out of his boot now. I know that he was out of his boot on Tuesday. He's moving around a lot better from what I've been told. And this is not a serious injury. It's just another setback for him, and it's certainly a bummer for this football team as they start training camp.
So, take it from the top. What do we know in relation to the injury and really even more important, perhaps, the rest of his body, like his shoulder?
Yeah, it's obviously he's dealing with multiple things. The latest injury, Paul, is this calf injury that we reported at Gators Online. There was a bunch of rumors that were circulating after it happened, and he was in a boot for this injury, and it was something that obviously caused him to miss the first day of practice. It's not something that is expected to be a long-term thing or keep him out of camp, but it is something that did have him hobbling around and limping and he's not able to go here as they start practices. You couple that with his shoulder injury, which is something that he has been dealing with since last year. And I think that that's important to point out all those incredible throws that he made and those games that they won at the end of 2024, he did with this shoulder issue that he's had. So he spent the offseason trying to strengthen his shoulder, trying to do everything that he could do mechanically to make sure that he doesn't aggravate it this season. And he was looking forward to being able to go out there and showcase his arm in camp. And now there's going to be a little bit of weight on that with this calf injury.
Great stuff from Zach and Paul, giving us the inside scoop of what's been going on with DJ Lagway. And I think it's a great point, right? In this lower leg injury, he was in a boot for a few days, maybe not even a full week. And is it that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things? No, but whenever you look at his history, his past injuries, and the timing of it is horrible, right? I mean, this is training camp. You want him to be out there trying to get as many reps with these receivers, especially when this entire offseason he's been dealing with rehabbing his shoulder and rehabbing everything that bothered him last year, just trying to get back to the most healthy that he's been to start off this year. And does it concern you at all that he's getting not as many reps with the receivers as you might want? And just, is it time that we call him injury prone? Is that a connection to make, or is it too soon to say?
So I'll start with, as far as being injury prone, it's something I said on Monday when we found out about the news, got a lot of backlash. And there's two ways that can go. And the way it's gone with DJ is simply, it's a lot of buildup of injuries. He missed a game and a half in this last season when he came into play, hurt against Georgia, missed Texas. And then there's been the shoulder injury that he's played through last season. With that injury, we saw him be a pocket passer. So it's something that he could play through. The hernia, we're not sure if he would have been able to play in a game or not because it wasn't in season. This calf injury obviously wasn't this massive thing that he had to deal with. So is it something he could have played through? Maybe, maybe not. We don't know. But they're all small things, right? They can get through, and DJ is the kind of guy, if he can play, he's going to play. Unless he's absolutely being held back, he will be on the field. And then there's the other side, the bad side of, having 3 years of 3 season-ending injuries, kind of injury prone, where you're looking at an Andrew Luck who simply just can't be on the field. With that being said, there is a negative to the continuous small injuries, and that is they are going to build up in some degree. Whether it pans out into a worst-case scenario, we'll have to wait to see, but it will build up in some type of way. So that's where we're at as far as the injuries go. And then, the other thing that you asked me, as far as the practice and missing time with that, yeah, that does concern me. The offensive line is mostly the same. Nothing to really worry about there. The running back room is very similar. Nothing to worry about there. This is through and through a newer wide receiving core. We'll get into that later in the show, but he's missed a lot of reps with a lot of these new guys, potentially new star receivers. So, yeah, that's a big concern of mine of can they get on the same page. Luckily, they have the 2 weeks to open up before LSU, but that is something that worries me, and hopefully we'll be able to see in tomorrow's open practice. Hopefully he'll be out there making those throws. What comes to mind on your those thoughts?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with pretty much everything that you said. I think that those were all really, really great points, but I think that at what point, like you said, he's going to play if he's even a little bit injured. If he can power through it, he's going to power through it. But I agree with you that at some point that can all come together, and then he can actually be dealing with a really serious injury that keeps him out for an entire year, if not more, that he's having to rehab again and again. So it's kind of a toss-up of how much do you let him go? How healthy is he? I mean, I think he needs to be at least 80% healthy for him to see significant field time. And he's going to be limited in his scrambling abilities. He's going to be limited in maybe how much he's throwing the ball depending on how he's feeling. So I don't know. There's a lot to unpack with his injury. You mentioned the practices coming up. There's going to be a few more practices, but Saturday there's actually going to be a scrimmage in the swamp that the media is allowed to go to and fans are allowed to go see. So that should be really, really interesting. I'm excited to see how active he is. How much is he throwing? What does he look like? Is he still hobbling around a little bit, or does he seem pretty comfortable in the pocket? But talking about DJ Lagway, Billy Napier is going to have a lot of decisions to make in regards to him, how much he's playing him, what does that look like with their offense. But Billy's job security, I think, goes hand in hand with how healthy Lagway is. Because let's say Lagway goes out there. If he gets injured the first few weeks of the season, hopefully not. We're not going to speak that into existence, but it's a conversation that we have to have with all the stuff that he's been dealing with. Let's say he goes out and gets injured week 3, week 4, LSU, Miami, whatever it is. Then does the entire outlook on the rest of the season, does Billy Napier get another year? Does he get more leeway because your star is out? Or do you look at him and say, you know what? No, you have been here. You have to win more than 7 games, and if you don't win more than 7 games, regardless of what's going on with Lagway's health, you're out of here. Or do you give him that grace and give him that time because Lagway is such a key piece of this team? However, this is a really talented squad on all fronts. What do you think? That was a lot that I just spit at you right there, but thoughts?
Yeah, I'm curious. This is tough, right? So if DJ were to get hurt early, you said 7-5 season, 7 wins, and make it to a bowl game. If he were to get hurt week 4 and you get 7 wins out of it, unless you start the season 4-0,
right?
Then that would be only an additional 3. I don't know. I think 7 wins with a hurt DJ is pretty good, to be honest. Sneaking in there, anything around 6-6, I think, is when the conversation really starts to heat up. But if if DJ gets hurt 3 games mid-season, then yeah, you still got to be competitive. I want a backup quarterback that's able to be in a good position. Brought in Harrison Bailey. Again, a lot of the show is going to be, or at least this first hour, whole position breakdown. So we're not going to get too deep into the nitty-gritty this second. But you got to bring in somebody. You need a backup quarterback, right? You can't simply have a quarterback, a physical one at that, and then just not have a backup plan, right? That's just never going to be a good option. Georgia won a national title with a backup, right? So it's like you have to prepare for that. And I'm not sure he has. I don't know if these other options are good enough, but the team is talented enough to where I can look at Billy and go, you got to figure it out. Even if it's relying on the run game, this team is skilled enough to look towards the defense and go, hey, we're going to need your help. Look at the run game. And the talented receivers that even if it's just dip and dunk passes, to have success in some way.
Yeah, and I think that this is going to be the biggest test. If you look at last year, Graham Mertz goes down, gets hurt. You've got DJ Lagway as your backup.
Perfect example.
Right?
Yeah.
So Billy Napier, he doesn't really have to make a whole lot of decisions. He says, yep, here are the keys. Go ahead. Because obviously that's who he should have been starting from the beginning of the season anyway. But there were no question marks around who should be coming in behind a hurt Graham Mertz. This year is completely different. How can Billy Napier manage and control an offense with, there's a handful of backup quarterbacks that are on the table right now. Are any of them any good to lead Florida to wins against some of the best teams in the country? I don't know. That's going to be the question, and I think that's the biggest situation regarding Billy Napier's coaching style, and that's such a big coaching test for him. And if he's not able to figure it out, if Lagway goes down, then we could be looking at a very different season than people expect right now. But up next, we have who is going to serve as DJ Lagway's backup quarterback. Find out right here on the Sportslab, ESPN WRUF.
Anchored in the soul of Gator Nation and coming to you live from the second story of the CJC on the campus of the University of Florida. You are listening to ESPN 98.1 FM, 850 AM, WRUF.
Hi, this is Dr. Art Mowry of Exceptional Dentistry. Listen to what our clients have to say about their experience at Exceptional Dentistry.
The quality of work or quality of care that you get when you come here, from the minute you walk in the door to the receptionist greeting you and just the friendly atmosphere. I mean, I've been coming here 11 years. It's like family. It really is. Except this is a better family than mine. 99% of the time, I see Dr. Art. I have never been to any medical dental care in my life that I've received the good treatment and care that I get from coming here. I hope he never retires.
This is Dr. Kim Mowry, and if you think you have dental problems that are too big to overcome, we're here for you. Please visit us at exceptionaldentistry.com. That's exceptionaldentistry.com.
I like to travel, but then I do miss certain things when I leave home, like my bed, my Sleep Number bed. Why a Sleep Number smart bed so important to you? You can sleep the way you like. It's the only bed that lets you make each side of the bed firmer or softer, whichever you like. That's your Sleep Number setting, which mine is 75. So you can choose what's right for you and your partner whenever you want. 2 beds in one. And when you think about how much you sleep and how important it is, you're able to respond, you're able to react, you're well rested, you're ready to go to attack the day. Sleep right with the True Temperature bedding, designed to move heat and humidity away, cool at the touch of a button with the dual temp layer. It helps you sleep at a comfortable temperature as well that can be added to any bed, any side. So you stay sleeping comfortably all night long. Right now, save up to $800 on the select Sleep Number smart beds. Limited time, though, exclusively at a Sleep Number store near you or sleepnumber.com/Patrick for details.
At University of Maryland Global Campus, we give our students credit where credit is due. Credit for deciding in the middle of rush hour traffic to go back and get their bachelor's and a promotion. Credit for managing 3 kids, 2 dogs, and a full-time job to pursue an MBA. And credit for serving in the military by day so they can study cybersecurity at night. For over 75 years, we've been helping students receive the credit they deserve. With more than 135 degrees and certificates, students at UMGC can use prior learning or relevant experience to earn up to 90 credits toward a bachelor's, and graduate students can transfer up to 12 credits toward their master's. At UMGC, you'll find everything from online to hybrid courses and lifetime career services to scholarship opportunities, making your education journey flexible, fast, and affordable. Apply now and save with no application fee. Classes start August 13th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
The WRUF radio app. Your source for sports every second of every hour of every day. You are listening to ESPN 98.1 FM, 850 AM, WRUF, the home of the Florida Gators. More of the Sports Lab right here on ESPN 98.1 FM, 850 AM, WRUF, and anywhere in the world on the WRUF radio app. Here's Hannah Mack and Michael Tubbs.
You know, this week I was watching a Netflix show called WWE Unreal, and it just takes you behind the scenes on WWE. And there was, it's a great show. If you're a WWE fan, you got to watch it. But there's a clip in there that I can't remember who said it, but they said, "I'm always hurt. The goal is to not be injured," right? And it's the same thing in football. Everybody's hurt. After week 1, everybody's hurt. Just don't be injured. And that's what we're looking at, DJ. You can be hurt. I don't want you to be, but you're going to be hurt. Just don't be injured and have an incredible season.
You know we had to play the song. You know we had to get into it.
It's going to be like a new requirement. We got to get it once a show going in for the guy, unless he throws, like 6 picks against Georgia. But
yeah, literally. I mean, I think that every week he's going to have some sort of play where you could probably play that song afterwards and be hyped up about it, but we'll see. So speaking of DJ Lagway's health, there's a few different options, right, for backup quarterbacks that we're going to take a look at and kind of pick and choose who we think is the best option and what does this backup quarterback lineup look like. Obviously, last year, Billy ran into one of the worst situations that you possibly can. Year 1, Graham Mertz, he's out for the entire year. DJ Lagway, he ends up going down towards the end of the Georgia game. He's out against Texas. You got one guy. You got one more guy that you're going to throw in there, and that's Aiden Warner, who you can't expect him to do well against one of the best teams in the country. He was going up against Texas on the road. I mean, it was all the possible things that were – nothing was in his favor in that situation at all. But now you've got a handful of guys. You bring in a couple different transfers, one graduate transfer, one senior transfer. You've got Harrison Bailey, who's from Louisville. You've got Clay Millen, who's from Colorado State. And then you've got a guy who flipped his commitment from Florida State, who I know you're a big fan of, Tramel Jones Jr. So there are multiple different options, 4 to be exact, of guys that could come in and take over for DJ. But let's go through the list right here and who is the best? Who do we want to see Billy throw in there? I think that off of my head, it seems that Harrison Bailey is probably going to be the backup. That's going to be the main guy that they're going to put in there. I don't necessarily feel super confident about this, Michael, because, I mean, we're looking at his stats and what he's done across. He was at Tennessee, he was at UNLV, at Louisville, so he's bounced around from a handful of different schools. What has he accomplished? Nothing in a starting role, to be honest with you. So that's the concern there is he has playing time in college football. There's no getting around. He's not a true freshman or anything like that. He's been in quarterback rooms. However, he doesn't have a lot of experience as a starter, really any at all.
Yeah, this one, the lack of experience really in the entire room, that includes DJ.
True.
And this entire quarterback room is very concerning.
Very.
These guys have not been in big positions, tough spots, potential playoff opportunities. It's not there. And Harrison Bailey is, I think I'm pretty comfortable in saying he's going to be the guy. But like you said, none of these guys really played. The size is there. The arm talent's there. The one that catches my attention the most, as you said, is Tramel Jones Jr. More so because I think he has more of a playing style to DJ. And when your starter gets hurt, you want the backup to be someone who can run those same kind of systems. It's not what you saw with DJ last year when Graham Mertz went down, very different backup. And you look across here, I mean, Aiden Warner, listen, I don't care what improvement he's made this offseason. I do not want him behind center taking snaps from what we saw in the Texas game. The Georgia game was just in their hands and just slowly slipped away, unfortunately, because of him. And Clay Millen, he's the only one that's really had starting time at Colorado State. He had 1,900 yards and was sacked over 50 times. So he'll at least get better protection for Florida. But if you're looking at these 3 options, Tramel Jones is the one that sticks out for 2 main reasons. Like I said, he's going to have a similar playing style. And 2, I think he's the future. I think he has to be the future unless they're going with Will Griffin, who's going to be coming in next year. You need someone to take it over after DJ. I mean, it's not Millen. It's not Bailey. And I really hope it's not Warner.
Yeah.
So that leaves one option. So it's like I'd rather sacrifice a game if you're most likely, unless there's that big of a gap, unless you're going in and going Bailey can win us this game. If you're going to lose it, give the guy that's probably going to be the future some experience.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think that the strategy has to be you got to go to one of the transfers that have come in that are a little bit older, I think at least at first, just because there is a different type of poise that a graduate transfer has on the field, regardless of how much that they've played. Because, like you said, the playing time across all of these guys
is pretty even.
It's pretty even, to be honest with you. But I think that you have to go to a guy like Bailey, who also the one positive about him that sticks out to me is he's 6'4", 237 pounds. So he's got a lot of size, very similar to DJ. They're about the exact same height and weight. So I think that especially against some very physical teams, you bring Harrison Bailey in there and you let him hand the ball off, the running game, the receivers, even if you're running just short slants, right? I mean, just simple. Keep it simple. And a little bit of more size at the quarterback position could make or break a game depending on what type of defense you're going up against. But I don't disagree with you at all. I mean, you're talking about a freshman who is very talented, probably the most athletic guy in the quarterback room, who has the highest ceiling over the next few years of his career, especially because he's a freshman, right? So he's got a lot of years to stay around in this room. And if he's the future of Florida at the quarterback position, why would you not want to give him reps and time? And we'll see. I think the first couple games, Long Island and South Florida, whatever quarterback Napier plays for a majority of those games are probably going to be the backups that we're going to see a lot of throughout the year if Lagway does end up going down. But yeah, it's a really, really tough quarterback room. And is that an issue? Is that a Billy Napier? You've gone out and you've recruited some of the best guys in the country, but for whatever reason, you can't seem to pick up some sort of senior transfer that is better than Harrison Bailey and Aiden Warner?
Yeah, we'll see what they're like. I do like the fact that Bailey is the same size. I got a question for you. Do you think in those first 2 weeks, everything goes according to plan, DJ's healthy, you blow him out, do we see all 5 quarterbacks on the roster in the span of those 2 games? And I'm not saying that as if, Tramel Jones might be buried on the depth chart, have no shot of starting unless everybody gets hurt. But simply for the fact of, like I said, just getting these guys some sort of experience. I mean, what are the odds, do you think, that we see – take Tramel out because he is an incoming freshman.
I was going to say 5
take him out.
quarterbacks.
But seeing Harrison Bailey, Aiden Warner, and Clay Millen in those first 2 games.
I think that we're going to see 2 quarterbacks. I think we're going to see Bailey, and I think we're going to see Warner. I don't know because I'm kind of basing it off of what I saw in the Orange and Blue game, to be completely honest with you, right? I mean, Lagway, he came in for a couple snaps, but Bailey led one side and Warner led the other side. So I think that we're definitely going to see the 2 of those quarterbacks. I don't know about Millen and Jones. I could see them not including them just because why would you? You don't want to – you're not going to rotate 4 quarterbacks in a football game. That sounds kind of crazy, but at the same time, it's Long Island. I want these quarterbacks to get as much playing time as possible and as much experience and reps, especially because they might play more in this game than they've played their entire career in a football game. So, but I think we're going to see a couple, all 4, maybe not, to answer your question. But, yeah. But another position to look at of just battling, fighting for who's going to earn that. Well, in the quarterback situation, it's the backup spot, right? The backup second string and third string spots. But we got to take a look at this wide receiver room. And we love having this conversation about the wide receivers that are across Florida football because there's so many different guys that could earn a starting role. And whenever Vernell Brown III is your third string receiver in a lineup, that's nuts. I mean, he's so talented, and I think that we're gonna see him on the field maybe in punt return. We'll get to that a little bit later. But how many different receivers are we working with in this room? And realistically, who's going to start? Who has a really good chance of being in a backup role but then also starting at times? How many different guys are we going to see in a rotation throughout this season?
I can't imagine it'd be more than 6, right? I'm thinking that's the number. You got your tight ends. Anything more than that, I mean, I would expect to see a guy like Vernell. I'm having a hard time just believing that Dallas Wilson is going to start and Vernell Brown's going to be a third string guy. Yeah. Just that gap there, because you can't tell me that there's that gap between those 2.
It's got to be size,
there's just
right?
so many.
I mean, it's definitely size.
Yeah, and just the options themselves of you're going to have good players on the bench. By the way, in the Swamp, one of those first 2 games, if Dallas Wilson is starting and there's a 40-yard touchdown between Lagway and Wilson, the Swamp is going to erupt.
Gosh. I can't even imagine. I get chills thinking about it.
But yeah, so Sturdivant's going to be in the role. Eugene Wilson doesn't even have to compete for it. He's earned that spot over the last 2 years. So you're looking at that other spot. Yeah, Dallas' size gets you there, but the packages that you can put together between the talent, the protection that DJ is going to get, allowing the play to develop, and the receivers and skill sets of what you can do if you want to stretch the field, if you want to bully guys, I wouldn't be surprised if you're seeing a strong rotation with a consistent 1 and then just rotating everybody else, and talk about tiring a defense.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's probably the biggest strength of this 2025 Florida football team is the versatility of their wide receiver room. You have a handful of guys that you could put so many different people in so many different places. If you just want to run 4 verts and just put the speedsters on the sides and just let them go, like that is something that not every offense across college football can say that they can do. And like you said, not only can they tire defenses out, but Florida's wide receivers aren't going to get tired because you need a break. All right, go. You need another break? Okay. Second, third, fourth guys can go in and sub in and really just take some of the weight off of everybody. But yeah, I'm super excited to see how this wide receiver room turns out this year and who we're going to see. But who we're going to see is, we talked about all these receivers. They're not all going to have a spot in starting lineups, right? However, they might have a spot on the punt return team and the kick return team. Find out who is on that team right after this break on the Sportslab, 98.1 FM, 850 AM.
From the heart of campus and the College of Journalism and Communications on Stadium Road, ESPN 98.1 FM, 850 AM, WRUF.
When guys like me separate from the military, we tried to move forward. But to truly move forward, we need to take care of our bodies and our minds. I finally understood that after I went to VA. I saw the difference it made to have providers who understood what I've been through and know how to help. I'm getting the highest quality health care at the lowest cost. And I'm telling every veteran I know that taking care of yourself is the strongest thing you can do. Get what you've earned. Visit choose.va.gov.
If you played pickleball in regular sneakers, you know you can pay the price. They don't cut it. And Todd found this out the hard way. We have this great sponsor, Tyrell. They make the best pickleball shoes. So one day Todd is playing pickleball, and he forgot his Tyrell pickleball shoes. Well, you know what happened? He got hurt. He was playing in some fancy, different shoes that aren't meant for pickleball, and he learned a lesson. Tyrell has everything you need to keep your feet cool. They're tough, they're lightweight, they're so solid on your feet, and you're going to wear and tear on the court, and they're ready to go. Every detail is built to help you play better. Tyrell pickleball shoes. If you want to play longer, feel better, and stop sliding around in those old sneakers, go to TyrellPickleball.com. You can look like a pro. You can play like a pro. It's Tyrell pickleball shoes. You spell it Tyrol. Tyrell pickleball shoes, the best pickleball shoes, purpose-built for pickleball.
Do Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keep coming back? Tremfya, guselkumab, may help, with rapid remission achieved at 12 weeks and lasting clinical remission at 1 year. Some even saw visible improvement of their intestinal lining at 12 weeks and 1 year. Tremfya is a prescription medicine used to treat adults with moderately to severely active Crohn's disease and adults with moderately to severely active ulcerative colitis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Healing is possible with Tremfya. Approximately 3 out of 10 patients were in endoscopic remission at 1 year, based on areas visualized on colonoscopy, which may not represent the deeper bowel layer or entire GI tract. Individual results may vary. Ask your doctor about Tremfya today. Call 1-800-526-7736 to learn more or visit tremfyaradio.com.
Sports on the field, sports on the court, sports on the diamond, and now sports in your pocket. Have ESPN 98.1 FM, 850 AM WRUF with you at all times with the WRUF radio app. We are proud to be your official home of the orange and blue. We are ESPN 98.1 FM, 850 AM WRUF, the home of the Florida Gators. From the UF Weather Center, here is your WRUF weather update.
Sunny skies for our Friday afternoon. A heat advisory is in effect for counties along and east of the I-75 corridor. In those spots, heat index values expected to get near 105. For counties along the Nature Coast, just a little bit cooler. Highs today in the lower 90s with heat index values near 100. A few isolated early evening showers, then partly cloudy overnight. Lows Saturday morning in the mid to upper 70s. From the WUFT Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Megan Borowski.
We are your home for Tampa Bay Rays baseball. You're listening to ESPN 98.1 FM, 850 AM, WRUF, and anywhere in the world with the WRUF radio app. The Sportslab continues right here on ESPN 98.1 FM, 850 AM, WRUF, and anywhere in the world on the WRUF radio app. Here's Hannah Mack and Michael Tubbs.
We just got done going over, who's going to take those starting receiving spots, what is that rotation going to look like moving forward throughout the season. But somewhere that I think people always forget about where you can really make an impact, whether it's just getting playing time there or earning your role onto an offensive or defensive role, is special teams. The returning roles for kickoffs and punts can be so important and really just change the factor of a game. And we might see somebody who might earn a new spot, not get the opportunity to have DJ throwing the ball to him, but make some moves there in order to work their way up by, a few weeks into the season, getting there. Here's special teams coordinator Joe Houston talking earlier this week on who's up for that role.
So I'll just say this, similar to Crawshaw, filling Chimere DK's role as punt returner will be a huge emphasis in our competition. Vernell Brown III has done an outstanding job along with, multiple players. Trey Wilson will be in the hunt, Jaden Ball, Trey Webb, Tank Hawkins, Jacoby Jackson, J. Michael Sturdivant, Nashawn Montgomery, Dallas Wilson, Byron Lewis, Javari Flowers, and DeBron Hampton are all going to compete.
Is it supposed to be returnees or returners?
A lot of guys up for those available spots. Guys that are probably going to, Dallas Wilson's up for it. Might not get the role there. By the way, if you do want to watch us, make sure to go head to the YouTube, ESPN Gainesville, home of the Gators. You can watch us live there. Let us know any comments. Let us know your thoughts on whatever we're talking about. We'll read them, see what you say, and respond. And if we agree, disagree, maybe give us a new talking point. But a lot of guys that he just listed out there, Hannah. Yeah. A lot of guys up for these roles. Do you think it'll come down to the best returner or someone that's not going to have a starting role on the offensive side that's going to get time there to prove themselves?
I think it's going to be a little bit of a mix of both, right? I mean, over the first few games, this is probably not a position that's going to be set in stone until halfway through the season, I would think, just because you're going to see a lot of different teams. I mean, Long Island is very different than LSU. South Florida is very different than Miami, so there's going to be a lot of mixing and matching. But I love this position because, like you said, it's an opportunity for a guy who, no, he's not going to be catching the football a lot in a wide receiver role. A guy like Vernell Brown, right, who is insanely talented. There's a reason that he's part of this team, and you want to give him some sort of validation and some sort of confidence on the football field, and I think that he's one of the main guys. Tank Hawkins, who we talked about his speed on Monday, insanely quick. I mean, he has a 40-yard dash time of he's going to be the fastest. Whenever he goes to the combine, I want to see what his time is because he's insanely fast. So you use a guy like him. And then at the same time, though, Michael, you have to take into account that you want your best returners catching the ball and running it back. And so that's where a guy like Trey Wilson comes into play, who has experience doing that, and Jaden Ball. Last year it was pretty much Ball and Chimere DK. Those were the two guys that we saw catching those punts and kick returns and taking them back. So I think it's going to be a mix, but I think that depending on what team Florida is playing, you definitely want to see Tank Hawkins, Vernell Brown get involved in a role that I think that they could really excel at, and in a role that they're going to continue to perform in over the next 2 years.
Yeah, I think Trey Wilson is probably the best option, at least from the guys that we've seen these past few years. Jaden Ball and him would probably make the best deal, but I'm with you. I want to see Vernell Brown out there. Yeah. If you're not putting him in for consistent route running out there, running routes, I want to see him return passes. He did it in high school. He was really good at it in high school. Tank Hawkins' speed alone, you want to throw Dallas Wilson out there to block for him, or hey, Ball's a real big running back too. Go block for Tank, see if he can cut a corner, take it to the house. But Vernell Brown is the one I'm really curious to see because, like I said, I don't know if there's a massive talent gap between Dallas and Vernell. And I want to see him on the field. I want to know what we're getting. And I want to make sure in today's age that he's not going anywhere, that he doesn't transfer out and leave.
Yeah. But to your point, I think another reason why you throw in a speedy guy like Tank or Vernell, a really shifty, agile guy in there, is because that can shift momentum in any sort of game. Most teams don't consistently run punts and kicks back for touchdowns, right? They don't even barely make it to midfield. But I think that these guys, they can completely shift a game. They're not in there every snap at wide receiver, so you put them in on a punt return in the third quarter and you let Tank Hawkins run it all the way back. That completely changes a game. So I really, really like throwing them in there at some point. Now, again, you want security, you want safety, you want to know that these guys can handle that situation. But they're working with them in practice. I mean, they've got guys giving them great NFL-style punts and really making sure that they're completely prepared for everything. So there's a lot to – I hope we see a lot of different guys returning the ball on punt and kick returns. So, but the running backs – these are the type of guys that we could see in those positions. I did want to say another guy that I think would be really interesting is Duke Clark. He's super fast, not a running back that's probably going to get many reps at all this season because it's going to be split between Ball, Jackson, Treyon Webb. But Katie Daniels and Duke Clark, I think that if you could throw Duke in that returning position, I would also really like to see him. So just a side note before we get into the running backs, I think that he could be a really fun guy to watch.
I'll tell you what, we're going to start with him because as we talk, transfer over to the running backs, you pointed out, this is a loaded room, a lot of guys that the fans can rely on. Duke Clark coming in as a freshman, Billy's played as freshmen. ETN came in, he was playing as a freshman. Baugh and Webb both got time as freshmen. Whether now, there were certain circumstances in which they played, but they all had successful years. I'd like to see that continue. Get Duke Clark out there, get him running the ball. I'm not saying let him, 200 carries, but
I hope not.
Over the course of the season, if you get him 30 touches, just a handful a game, I add on to that experience and just keep this driving force of the running back room's never been a problem. I think Montrell, there'd be certain times, and maybe I'm alone on this, where he would frustrate me and I'd want him out, but he's still a good running back, right?
Yeah.
So I would love to see him get in there, get some touches, even if it is just maybe returning the ball a little bit, try to get in there at some point.
Sure.
But back to the starting. All right, so looking at the stars, right, Jaden Baugh is solidified as a starter. He's going to be taking all the reps. Size and speed alone. I mean, he's a lot bigger than I think we kind of realized when we first see him, and he put on weight.
I was going to say, we got to talk about his weight room antics. I mean, we're talking about a guy who he's lifting heavy. I mean, he's probably lifting more weight than a lot of guys in that locker room, with the exception of probably some linemen and stuff like that. But for a position guy, I mean, he's repping it. And I think that how can you not be happy with that? You've got a quarterback who's huge. People say he might even be too big, right? And then you've got a running back who's also, it's just the physicality of that team and injuries. You don't want to see these guys get injured and go down. A little bit of size it's not going to hurt them.
He's 6'1", 230. And that's as far as like what Google knows. I'm sure he's put on even more since then. I'm sure that number will change week 1.
Probably close to 250 now.
But he doesn't seem like it, and he doesn't run like it either. Like he looks just like your typical running back, which, by the way, 6'1" might not sound too tall. That's
big
a good size for a running back.
But and not just him, Jacoby Jackson, he's going to be right there behind him getting a lot of reps. But a guy that has flown under the radar, he's literally Trey Wilson just with the running backs, is Treyon Webb. Very similar name, actually. Well, I guess Eugene and Treyon, not really, but they could both go by Trey is where I'm going with that. But yeah, Treyon Webb, this is a guy who he broke his fibula, actually. So his leg just completely broke that. He had to get surgery there. Jess, really? But anyway, he is a guy to look for that I think could really come in and just light it up because he's experienced. He's not a true freshman. He's not coming in without any sort of reps under his belt. He was 2 years ago, he was serving as the second string running back, getting a lot of playing time. And then last year, obviously, Baugh and Jackson, he was hurt pretty much all of last year, and then Baugh and Jackson took over in that role. But moving forward, this is a 3-wide running back room. All three of these guys, Baugh is probably going to get a majority of the carries, but Webb and Jackson can both do some serious damage, and it's more looks that defenses are going to have to handle. Not only are they going to have to deal with all of the 10 receivers that we just talked about, but they're also going to have to deal with a really, really deep running back room. This offense is so dangerous, and that includes Treyon Webb.
Treyon Webb, I remember his really first kind of game where he got some reps was when he was freshman against McNeese, right? And that was a blowout game. That was, just go put the freshman out there to get some time. And it was me and a buddy, and we're watching, and we're like, who's this kid? We want more him. We got to get him out on the field. So yeah, he was hurt last year, but he is definitely a factor of this team that you cannot underrate in the impact that he will have, because Ball's not going to be just your front of the line every carry guy. This is going to be a rotation of a very good, very talented running back room. However, we still got another side of the ball to get to. Defense coming up next after the break. Austin Armstrong had some comments earlier this week, and he let us know who the leaders on that side of the ball are. Find out coming up next on the Sports Lab, 98.1 FM, 850 AM.
This is Hub Brown, Dean of the College of Journalism and Communications here at the University of Florida, and you are listening to ESPN 98.1 FM, 850 AM, WRUF, the home of the Florida Gators.
Hey, it's Steve Russell for Hurricane BTW, where every day feels like the weekend. Fresh, never frozen chicken wings, tossed in over 30 bold flavors, paired with ice-cold beer, all in a laid-back, beachy atmosphere. And with every game on the big screens, it's the ultimate escape in your home for sports, too. Great food, cold drinks, and all the games. That's Hurricane BTW. Escape the ordinary and find your spot at hurricanewings.com.
What if you could unlock over $1 million in personal and business credit? That's exactly what Ray Reynolds can do for you. I'm talking about protecting your family and building your business with $100,000 in personal or business cash credit. And Ray can help you rebuild your credit score to 750. Ray Reynolds isn't just any expert. He helped the security chief of TRW that became Experian, one of the most trusted credit bureaus. If you're looking to get your finances on track, Ray is the man you should call for a 7. $800-427-5991. That's 800-427.
Back to your old car and say, you know what? You're not so bad. Maybe. They make it easy. Come in for a free estimate, and their expert technicians will handle the rest. Quick turnaround, by the way. Real value. That's what Mako does. And we're keeping our cars longer. So make your current ride feel new again. Before you shell out for something new, make your old look new. With Mako's national reach and community focus, you're not just getting top-notch service. You're actually getting a partner you can trust. Go to Mako.com today. You'll find a shop near you and book an appointment. That's Mako, MAACO.com. And remember, better get Mako.
There's a lot of uncertainty in the world, but one thing's for sure. You need a PC you can rely on. Whether it's for school, gaming, or whatever your next chapter holds, Lenovo.com has the tech to help you succeed. Shop PCs right now at Lenovo.com during their back-to-school sale, where students can save more when they sign up for a Lenovo education account. Free shipping, easy returns, flexible financing. That's Lenovo.com.
Lenovo. Southern Sports Today with Chuck Oliver, weekdays at noon, right here on ESPN 98.1 FM, 850 AM, WRUF. RUF Radio Lab. Here's Hannah Mack and Michael Tubbs.
Happy Friday. If you haven't heard us say it yet this episode, it's a great day. It's a great day to be here. It's a great day to talk Florida Gators football. Before we get into the depth of the Gators defense, make sure that you watch us on YouTube. There's a new way to stream the show on YouTube, ESPN Gainesville, home of the Gators. Search that up. Leave a comment. Let us know what you like, what you don't like, what you want to hear us talk about, anything. We're open for any suggestions that you have. Like I said, ESPN, home of the Gators on YouTube. It's free. So,
subscribe.
Yes, subscribe. It's free. Why would you not do it? Anybody that hears the word free, you got to flock to it, right? So, all right, there we go. But Florida Gators defense. This has been one of the areas, maybe not the defensive line, but the secondary. We've talked about it for the past however many months. Is it a liability, right? That's the discussion of this team. How much of an issue is the secondary? Are there guys that can come off the bench that can replace based off of injury, not just in the secondary, but on the defensive line as well? Here is what Austin Armstrong had to say about all of the different leaders on defense.
Well, the thing, probably the best thing, and you're trying to work for this situation, is that we have multiple. I say go-to guys. I'm gonna obviously. If something was whatever issue or if something was, I need to get. Sapp would be probably the first one I'm going to. You know what I mean? I think the back room, obviously, and Jayden Robinson, is deep. I think anything in the back end, we got guys where we Bryce or Jordan or Sharif. Corner position, we got Devin Moore, Dede. Those guys are all. We got a bunch of leaders, which is exciting to see. And that's what you want. You don't want it to come down to 2 or 3. You want more than that are taking the reins, and be able to lead your program at any time.
True that, and that is one of the perks of Florida's defenses. There are a lot of seniors, juniors, a lot of upperclassmen on that squad that are coming back, especially on the defensive line, right? We've talked Tyreek Sapp, we've talked Caleb Banks, George Gums. These are all guys that you need to look out for. But what's funny is one of the bigger leaders that we have seen emerge in the offseason is actually Miles Graham. So he's only a sophomore, but he has been very, very vocal in a lot of different practices, training camps, which I think is a great sign. You're talking about the upperclassmen leading, but just because you're a senior doesn't mean that you're always going to be the biggest leader on defense. And I think seeing a guy like Miles Graham step into that role, he's one of the most talented that they have on that side of the ball. And he's from Gainesville. It's clear that he loves and lives orange and blue. He bleeds it, right? And so I think that that's just such a positive for that side of the ball to see a sophomore step up and be like, you know what? I'm gonna help lead this team, and I think that that's what this defense needs, especially in the secondary. He mentioned Bryce Thornton, Jordan Castell, Dejon Johnson. He mentioned Devin Moore, a handful of guys that are in that secondary that we talk about, they're the liability of the team. But if they're able to be leaders on this team, there's a different type of confidence that comes along with that. And if they're guys, if that entire team believes in them, then maybe they're not as much of a liability as we think.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how that kind of plays out. Miles Graham being a vocal leader is going to be so big. When you're looking at linebackers, it's kind of the thing that goes unnoticed if you don't have it, right, is a good, strong, vocal leader linebacker. But when you have it, you do see it, and you're like, oh, I appreciate that guy, right? And so hopefully Miles Graham can be that. He'll be here at least another year, hopefully another 2 after this season. And also Tyreek Sapp was that first name that kind of came to mind for him. I don't know if that was either because it was the first name or he just started in the front and kind of worked his way back, which is kind of what he did. But did mention Caleb Banks, which I'm kind of okay with that. If Caleb's just your presence on the field, just he's the player to get it done. And you got Tyreek on the edge, just kind of keeping everybody there, and he's the head of your defense. Like you said, if something's going on, Tyreek's the guy that he goes and grabs. I like that pairing, right? It's not all on one guy. And you said in the clip, it's a team of leaders. By the way, you mentioned the experience coming back on this defense, the expecting lineup. They're all returners. I don't know. Maybe I'm just off here. I don't know if I actually realized that potentially we would expect Michael J. Sturdivant, Dallas Wilson are probably expected to start. If they do, it would be the only 2 guys on offense for new guys. Defense expected all-around starters, and then the punter. I mean, that's it. Everybody else is returning. That is so vital to a team's success and can help out so much. But like you said, the secondary alone, all of these guys have so much experience. They've been around the corner. They know what to expect out of this team. And it's going to be a really important factor. And one of those guys is Aaron Gates. Will he start? Will he be off the bench? We don't really know. Had the injury last season. He's a good player. Here's Billy Napier talking about that injury.
Obviously still in the brace a little bit. And, anytime a guy's an ACL guy, as you get into training camp, we'll be monitoring his volume closely. But he's been a full participator here as of late. But, those guys are typically, there'll be a day or two where we'll pull him. But, yeah, he's had an incredible road back. I think has been a really good example to everybody of how you attack the rehab process, and looks great. So obviously a really good player for us.
I mean, something that's really built off these past few years is the injuries that have continuously happened really to the secondary big time. And it's gotten to the point this year where if something happens, Aaron Gates right now is in a backup role. He's coming off of an injury. We've seen him play. He's a good guy. You got Sharif Denson in that starting nickelback spot. Experience. Dejon Johnson. Experience. Bryce Thornton, Jordan Castell. All of them. Like, we've seen them around the corner. Devin Moore. Behind them, Aaron Gates in that backup role. Cormani McLean. We've heard nothing but great things about him and what he's done this offseason. I mean, this is a very good situation for, a year or 2 years ago was shaky. Now you're in a good spot.
Yeah, it's wonderful whenever you can look at every single pretty much position in a lineup, maybe except for quarterback, and see that there are serious backups that can come in and play and serve a role as if they were a starter. And we just talked about Aaron Gates and the ACL injury that he had to go through, and I think that is so important for the morale of the team. I think that's one of those quotes where it doesn't seem like a lot, but whenever you have your head coach say, you know what, the way that he's been able to handle himself, the way that he has bounced back, the way that everyone on the team, if they go through something, which ACL is one of the worst injuries that you can deal with in sports, especially in a sport like football where knees are crucial, right? And for his teammates to watch him go through all of that and just, it's such a positive outlook on everything. And Aaron Gates is him and Cormani McLean. Cormani McLean has put on some serious weight this offseason as well. I think that they're both going to be guys that are easily going to fit right into a lineup. And I could even see them starting some games depending on what happens with the starters. It's such a makes you just feel so confident, right? And everything going on in one of the weaker areas of the football team. These are two backups that aren't really backups. I mean, they're kind of just starters 1A and 1B, So that's kind of how I look at this situation. But there's a lot of guys on defense. LJ McCray is another guy that comes to mind. He could fill in for a lot of guys on the D line, and I think that we saw that last year with it was more offensive line based because there were a lot of injuries on the O line, but with guys stepping up and coming in, and that's the biggest thing with this team is, if anybody can step in and do it, whenever you see everyone coming in off of the bench, that's how deep this Florida football team is. And that's why, regardless of what happens with DJ Lagway's health and everything, I think that this team still has to be really successful, because whenever you have the depth that you do, you don't see that every day. So I think that this team really has a chance to go out there and win 8 games, especially with a healthy quarterback, if not more.
Looking at this roster, and I poor Long Island, unfortunately, is the week 1 matchup. I think this defense, with what Austin Armstrong is looking to do and the way they ended the year last year, if they want to be one of the more, they put on a lot of weight, lost a lot of fat. The training staff has done an incredible job. If they become one of, if not the most physical, dominating teams and just beat teams and tackle right, we'll see about turnovers. But if they're just able to hit you hard nose and not care, this team can go a long way, because you've got the skill, you've got the speed on offense. The depth and the work that they put in and the experience that they have is going to be so impactful. And if you tell me that the Florida Gators can win games off the defense, you're telling me this is a scary team. And that also means that it's a scary team for Tennessee. That's our next preview coming up after the break. Florida, Tennessee, they haven't won since 2005 in the Swamp. Can they do it this year? Find out next on the Sports Lab, ESPN WRUF.
From the Spurrier's Gridiron Grill Studio, WRUF Gainesville, W251CG Gainesville, WRUF FM HD2, and on the WRUF radio app.
I like to travel, but then I do miss certain things when I leave home, like my bed, my Sleep Number bed. Why a Sleep Number smart bed so important to you? You can sleep the way you like. It's the only bed that lets you make each side of the bed firmer or softer, whichever you like. That's your Sleep Number setting, which mine is 75. So you can choose what's right for you and your partner whenever you want. 2 beds in one. And when you think about how much you sleep and how important it is, you're able to respond, you're able to react, you're well rested, you're ready to go to attack the day. Sleep right with the True Temperature bedding, designed to move heat and humidity away, cool at the touch of a button with the dual temp layer. It helps you sleep at a comfortable temperature as well that can be added to any bed, any side. So you stay sleeping comfortably all night long. Right now, save up to $800 on the select Sleep Number smart beds. Limited time, though, exclusively at a Sleep Number store near you or sleepnumber.com/Patrick for details.
At University of Maryland Global Campus, we give our students credit where credit is due. Credit for deciding in the middle of rush hour traffic to go back and get their bachelor's and a promotion. Credit for managing 3 kids, 2 dogs, and a full-time job to pursue an MBA. And credit for serving in the military by day so they can study cybersecurity at night. For over 75 years, we've been helping students receive the credit they deserve. With more than 135 degrees and certificates, students at UMGC can use prior learning or relevant experience to earn up to 90 credits toward a bachelor's, and graduate students can transfer up to 12 credits toward their master's. At UMGC, you'll find everything from online to hybrid courses and lifetime career services to scholarship opportunities, making your education journey flexible, fast, and affordable. Apply now and save with no application fee. Classes start August 13th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
If you played pickleball in regular sneakers, you know you can pay the price. They don't cut it. And Todd found this out the hard way. We have this great sponsor, Tyrell. They make the best pickleball shoes. So one day Todd is playing pickleball and he forgot his Tyrell pickleball shoes. Well, you know what happened? He got hurt. He was playing in some fancy different shoes that aren't meant for pickleball, and he learned a lesson. Tyrell has everything you need to keep your feet cool. They're tough, they're lightweight, they're so solid on your feet, and you're going to wear and tear on the court, and they're ready to go. Every detail is built to help you play better. Tyrell pickleball shoes. If you want to play longer, feel better, and stop sliding around in those old sneakers, go to TyrellPickleball.com. You can look like a pro. You can play like a pro. It's Tyrell pickleball shoes. You spell it Tyrol. Tyrell pickleball shoes, the best pickleball shoes, purpose-built for pickleball.
It's time to head inside the Sports Lab. From the CJC on the campus of the University of Florida, it's the next generation of Gator sports media personalities. With the latest stories, news, entertainment, and drip throughout the Sunshine State. Now, let's don a pair of goggles and fire up that Bunsen burner. It's time to head inside the Sports Lab. Here's Hannah Mack and Michael Tubbs.
Well, I got to apologize if you were listening to last segment talking about Austin Armstrong, defensive coordinator. Nope, he's gone. It's Ron Roberts. Big mistake on my part. He's over at Houston now. We don't care about him. Rob Roberts setting the tone of the defense. Big changes moving forward on his end, doing a great job in the second half of the season. But part of that is going to be against Tennessee, looking at all across the board, really a new team for the most part. Nico leaving, bringing in most likely Joey Aguilar taking the reins there. And across the board, losing their leading passer, leading rusher, leading receiver, and top 2 sack leaders. This is a new Tennessee team for Josh Heupel.
Yeah, it is. And if you look at it on paper, this seems like a game that Florida can easily win, right? I mean, almost look at every single position group, and the Gators seem to have more talent and more experience in all of those areas. However, this is one of those games with the track record that Tennessee has in the Swamp. 2003 last time that they were able to get it done. Florida, they've got a nice little win streak going there. However, this is a game where we don't know what Tennessee's going to look like this year, right? They could struggle. They could have, I don't know if they're going to make the college football playoff. They're not going to be the worst team in the conference by any means. However, they've got a lot of new pieces to work with. Did just bring in a crazy recruiting class. Heupel, he's been on a tear the past month or so. However, this is a game where Tennessee could come into this. If Florida is in playoff contention, even 2-3 losses, they're looking to be right on that cusp of getting in. Tennessee, they could do what Florida did to LSU and Ole Miss last year to the Gators. They could come in, they're going to be guns a-blazing, and you know that they want to win. Since 2003, it's been over 20 years since they've gotten it done in the Swamp. So you know that they're going to be fired up and ready to go and wanting to prove to Florida that they can get it done. But this is a game that Florida cannot take lightly, and it's going to be a great rivalry matchup in the Swamp, hands down. But we're going to have to see how this Tennessee team plays out, and there's going to be a lot of different storylines heading into this game depending on how each team's respective seasons go.
Yeah, this is always a fun matchup. Just the home environments alone, looking at the Swamp compared to Neyland. I mean, obviously, listen, you want to say Neyland might be the better stadium. Tennessee hasn't won in the Swamp since 2003. That's all I'm going to throw out there. Obviously, I mean, it proofs in the pudding, the stats right there. But this is interesting, and I think we've mentioned it a few weeks ago at this point now that it flipped. Tennessee normally would have been towards the beginning of the year, LSU at the later half. They flipped those games this year, and unfortunately it doesn't exactly work out to Florida's favor. You know, this is a team that at this point you're going to know what they are. You're going to know if they're competing for a spot anywhere. You're going to know if the season's dead in the water, if they're just looking to ruin your season. Maybe both seasons are over. Hopefully that's not the case, but this is going to be a big factor. Joey Aguilar coming in, he'll have had those reps. The new guys will be in. This won't be this new team that we're looking at right now going, oh, what are they going to be? You know, what can they really make out of themselves? They'll be solidified. Heupel has not had, across the board, if you look at all of his time going back to Missouri, he was coaching Drew Lock. We just saw his guy in the Hall of Fame game last night. He in the NFL, all he does is create prospects, great quarterback coach. I can't imagine they're just going to be bad this year. They're a strong running team. The defense is young. The talent's there, right? This is the opposite of Florida. The talent is still there. They just don't have the experience. And when it rolls around towards the end of the year, that'll have changed.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be interesting. I'm curious, too, the offensive line, same boat, if Florida's able to bully them and just get pressure and just disrupt the game up front, out the gates.
Yeah, that's the biggest key, right, is to put pressure on the quarterback in the hostile environment that is the Swamp. That's the biggest key to this game, definitely. But one of the bright spots for Tennessee, and it kind of contrasts Florida in this way, is their secondary is very versatile. So they have a lot of different guys that can move around and play many different positions within their secondary. So I'm excited to see, we've talked about it. We broke down how many different receivers can come into the game for Florida. This is one of those games that you're going to have to do that. You're going to have to play a lot of guys, keep them fresh, keep them healthy. You don't want anybody getting worn out in a matchup like this because this is going to be a battle. Every single year, these games are never really blowouts. There have been a few here and there, but this is the type of game, especially second to last of the year, the hype is going to be there. And Tennessee's going to want to get it done. However, Florida, they're coming off a loss last year in overtime. DJ Lagway, this is his revenge game against Tennessee, right? I mean, he didn't get to play that entire game. He has never played a full game against Tennessee in his career. He only played a little bit towards the end after Mertz got hurt. And that was kind of where his starting role was born, right? That this is kind of where he blossomed against Tennessee. It's such a full circle moment for him. And hopefully throughout the season, he is healthy enough to play in this game for the entire game. And it's going to be really, really physical. So the Gators are going to need to make sure that him and the entire running back room, all of the receivers, this is probably one of the most important games for everyone to be really, really healthy and polished heading into this game.
Yeah. Hendon Hooker, by the way, is the quarterback I was drawing a blank on in the Hall of Fame game by Coach Josh Heupel. But like you said, this is an interesting matchup because DJ kind of throughout half this year is going to have revenge spots. Looking at Georgia where he got hurt, he wants that game back. Being from Texas A&M area, got blown out here at home when he was playing here, going to want that game back. Didn't get the chance to play Texas, wants that game. Tennessee should have been an opportunity for him to win, taking over that starting role after Graham Mertz gets hurt. Add it to the list. He's got them marked down. These are the ones he wants. These are the caliber of games. And this can affect both teams. Both teams can be in an opportunity to make the playoffs. We're going to get to that, probably close out the show with that of the biggest games in college football this season. This is one of them. Not only because it's a rivalry, because looking in, these are teams that are not solidified playoff contenders. They're teams that are on the outside wanting to get in. I know Tennessee was in last year, but they're not just a shoo-in this year. So what's going to come of that? And I'll tell you the other factor in this is the coaching aspect of Billy Napier, right? Hannah, how many games have I asked you in these last 3 years did Billy Napier coach into a win? And are we going to have to see that this season? And could this easily be a game where we're going to need that from him?
We need that every game from him. I mean, Florida's facing the toughest schedule in the country. He needs to be on point every single game. He cannot have lapses of judgment in his coaching decisions. I'm not saying he's going to be right 100% of the time, but I need him to make decisions. I need him to be confident whenever he decides, okay, it's 3rd and long, this is what we're doing, run this play right now. There needs to be zero hesitation from him, and this is the type of matchup where Florida should have won that game in overtime last year. They should have. That was a coaching flaw. DJ Lagway should have played. We've gotten into that. Everybody knows he should have started from the beginning of the year last year. We don't need to have that conversation yet again. However, this is the type of matchup where we could see another overtime in the swamp. It's going to get down to the nitty-gritty. What do you do whenever it's late in the fourth quarter and you have decisions to make against a solid Tennessee defense? So Billy Napier and the confidence in his coaching decisions, hopefully by the time it gets to Tennessee, it's going to be weird playing them towards the end of the year. As we talked about, LSU and Tennessee kind of flopped it. Florida's never really played Tennessee's second to last game of the season, but I think it's more fun. I think it's more exciting, and this is a great experience and resume booster for Billy Napier. If he can go out there, keep the swamp streak alive, he's going to have a lot of people cheering him on as they go into Florida State, depending on how the rest of the season looks, yes. But Tennessee and Florida State are must-wins at home by the end of the year.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting thought of looking at it, of Tennessee isn't going to be this elite team this year, right? But they're going to be good enough to where if you're right on the edge, that's a win that could get you in. And if you do it in a good enough fashion at home, we saw 2 years ago, Milton didn't really look too good. That was a good Tennessee team, but Florida took care of business at home. If you have that kind of game this year, you're heading in with 2 or 3 losses at the time. That's the perfect situation for to get the dominant win and to shoot yourself in there. You know, make that argument of leaving the Gators out a hard conversation to have rather than getting in.
Yeah, and Tennessee, I mean, they also play very difficult competition. So if they end up upsetting some team throughout the year and then Florida beats Tennessee, that's another check on the list for Florida to make a last-minute push for a playoff. But what is the most important games in college football this upcoming year? What games are going to affect who makes it into the college football playoff? We've got your answers right here on the Sportslab coming up, ESPN WRUF.
Cloaked in orange and blue and fortified on the campus of the University of Florida. You are listening to ESPN 98.1 FM, 850 AM, WRUF.
Celebrate your love this summer at International Diamond Center and get a free romantic getaway on us. It's the Summer of Romance event, now for a limited time at IDC. Make any jewelry purchase over $3,500 and pack your bags for a free trip. It's a great time to get that engagement ring and let IDC buy your honeymoon. Here's how it works. If you spend $3,500, IDC will give you a 3-day, 2-night hotel getaway with a $100 Visa card for spending. Choose from a dozen romantic cities. Or spend $5,000 on her jewelry and IDC will give you a 3- or 4-night luxury cruise for 2. Spend $10,000 and you'll get a 5-day, 4-night stay at an upscale tropical all-inclusive resort. Choose from 4 countries. Listen, if you're getting engaged, celebrating an anniversary, or just want to get away for some romance, IDC has it covered. You buy the ring, we'll give the getaway. Hurry, this is a limited time offer. Details and restrictions at shopidc.com. International Diamond Center at Celebration Point.
Stop your grinding with Bucs Night Guard.
Are you waking up in the morning with a sore jaw, headaches, ringing in your ears, all because you're grinding and clenching your teeth at night? That's exactly what was going on with me. I ended up going to a dentist, and he wants to charge over $600 for a night guard. That's when I found the Bucs Night Guard. You mold it at home to the top or bottom teeth. Other mouth guards go all the way to the back, which allows the back teeth to touch. This is where most of the grinding and clenching occurs. The Bucs Night Guard redirects the bite force away from the back teeth, reducing jaw pain while still protecting the teeth. This unique design is what makes Bucs Night Guard different from all other traditional grind guards. Order your Bucs Night Guard today and get 10% off plus free shipping. Go to BruxNightGuard.com and enter the code BRUX95. That's BRUX95.
Stop your grinding with Bucs Night Guard.
Hey, it's Steve Russell for Hurricane BTW, where every day feels like the weekend. Fresh, never frozen chicken wings, tossed in over 30 bold flavors, paired with ice-cold beer, all in a laid-back, beachy atmosphere. And with every game on the big screens, it's the ultimate escape in your home for sports, too. Great food, cold drinks, and all the games. That's Hurricane BTW. Escape the ordinary and find your spot at hurricanewings.com.
Hey there, cats and kittens. It's Brian from The Commercial Break, the mediocre comedy podcast where my best friend Chrissy and I attempt to make sense of the world. We talk about the absurd, the ridiculous, and the stuff no one asked for, like internet weirdos, pickup artists, and why everyone is obsessed with crystals and colonics. It's all got to stop. The show is free, it's frequent, and it's probably not for everyone. You can go to tcbpodcast.com, subscribe at youtube.com/The Commercial Break, or check out the show wherever you listen to podcasts. We'll see you on the next Commercial Break, and best to you.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings at 9, right here on ESPN 98.1 FM, 850 AM, WRUF, and anywhere in the world on the WRUF radio app. The Sportslab continues, right here on ESPN 98.1 FM, 850 AM, WRUF, and anywhere in the world on the WRUF radio app.
Mack and Michael Tubbs with you here on the Sports Lab. It's Friday, and we're having fun talking all things college football. But right off the bat, you start off this season, you've got two of the biggest matchups all year, two matchups that could potentially affect who makes it into the college football playoff. You've got Texas and Ohio State, possible national championship matchup, and then you've got Clemson and LSU, right? These are the two biggest games week one, I would think. I mean,
those are both potential national title game
It's
caliber
true.
games.
And I mean, we've got Heisman battles, you've got Arch, Ohio State, we don't know, quarterback room is
Jeremiah
a little
Smith.
That's true. There you go. Maybe not a quarterback Heisman battle, but then Cade Klubnik, Garrett Nussmeier.
There's a lot happening in those first 2 weeks. I mean, as far as games go, doesn't get much better the rest of the year. I mean, those are the top-notch quality games that you're getting. Florida plays, obviously, LSU and Texas. Those are both in the mix. But when you're talking about teams, right, affecting the college football playoff, we want to take a look at the games where, what are the teams on the outside that are going to be fighting for a spot? Not the Texases, not the Ohio States. As great as those games are, all four of these teams, as great as they are, they're more than likely getting in. Who this year is going to be the Alabama, the Miami, the South Carolina, right on the outside looking in, the Ole Misses, right? Florida really ended Ole Miss and LSU's season. Those were massive games for them. Indiana, argument could have been made that when Ohio State beat them that they shouldn't have gotten in. So when you're looking at those kind of games, Alabama and South Carolina play each other. Two teams last year that were on the outside looking in and are really going to be in the same spot. Neither are shoo-in. Neither are just not going to be in the conversation. I mean, that is a game that could easily determine who gets into those 12. Not even, because now I forgot we're doing the straight seeding. So now it's going to be a little bit different, where you're in. You're probably going to have to be a higher seed because Clemson shooing in at a 12 or goes top seeds. Sorry, Boise State went right. They're moving up. The straight seeding might affect how this is kind of plays out this year.
Yeah, and we're talking about head-to-head matchups. Alabama, South Carolina is such a great example of this because if they both end the season 9-3 again, right? If there's a team that you're going to put in from the SEC in the playoff, you're going to look at head-to-head, right? You're going to look at who won these matchups. And in Alabama, South Carolina, this is going to be a great game. But Shane Beamer, Lenora Sellers, they've got a lot to prove. However, I think that this is more of a matchup for Kalen DeBoer and that Alabama squad. They need to get into a playoff this year. I think that there's going to be a lot of people calling for his head if Alabama doesn't make the playoff this year.
Alabama does not have the patience to miss a 12-team playoff 2 years in a row. Nick Saban squeezed into a 4-team his last year.
Yeah, no, he's going to lose his mind. And it's not just that one, right? I mean, you've got Alabama, Georgia, you've got Florida, LSU, Florida, Tennessee, all of those SEC matchups, and pretty much, we can list specific ones, but I think week to week, for the most part, every single game that every team is playing within the Southeastern Conference is a game that can make or break you making the college football playoff. And they're spread out across the entire year, so there's not really a week that you can say, okay, well, I can take off this week. That's not a thing in the SEC. So there's a lot, but I think that some of the biggest ones are Florida LSU game early on in the season. Whether or not you think the Gators are a contender to make the college football playoff, LSU surely is. And not only do they have Clemson week 1, but then they turn around and they have Florida a couple weeks later. So yes, it's at home, but LSU, we may know within the first few weeks of the season if they're going to make a college football playoff or not. Because if they drop the matchup to Clemson and if they lose to Florida, that's 2 losses. You still have to compete the rest of your season. So LSU probably has the most difficult first 3 or 4 weeks in college football. And I think we're going to know pretty early on with some of these matchups who is going to have to fight the rest of the season and pretty much go to win every single game just to get in.
If LSU loses to Florida and Clemson in those first 3 weeks, they could finish 10-2 and potentially not only be out. They're going to have conversations then with the SEC going, hey, maybe the 4 auto bids for the conference isn't such a bad idea after all.
Exactly.
Maybe we should do that for some safety. Another big game that I think is going to be really interesting this year is Ohio State and Illinois. Illinois beat South Carolina. South Carolina was screaming to the rooftops that they should have been in. I would have kind of agreed with that. They lost to Illinois in the bowl game, right? And so you're looking at it. If you're able to do what Indiana couldn't do last season, that is going to make a huge statement. And in a competitive, top-heavy Big Ten, that's a matchup that Ohio State, you're looking at it. From an Ohio State fan view, they should just take care of that game, right? They don't deal with the small schools like the Indianas, like the Illinois, no matter how great they are year after year. That's not a team you want to compete with. Illinois can flip that switch and go, hey, everybody was high on Indiana last year. We're going to get it done. Be a playoff team. You would look at them differently. And from a coaching standpoint, that would be a huge win over, you lose to them. Ryan Day at that point would very much be on the hot seat, especially going into the Michigan game.
Yeah, let me pose you this. Ohio State, right? You just mentioned Illinois. That could be a competitive game. Illinois, Indiana, those are the teams that need those types of wins to say, hey, you know what, we do deserve a spot in the playoff. Maybe the rest of our schedule wasn't the most competitive, but we beat the reigning national champion, right? However, you look at Ohio State. They've got Texas week 1. They turn around, they do have to play Illinois. They also have to play Penn State. They also have to play Michigan. How important is this year's matchup, Ohio State-Michigan? It didn't really matter last year. Ohio State was going to make it into the playoff pretty much either way. Didn't have to play in their conference championship. That was kind of that, and obviously it didn't matter. They won the national title. But this year, with the team, maybe the Big Ten is going to be a little bit more competitive all the way around. What if you lose to Texas, right? And then what if what you said? A team in the Big Ten says, we need this win. We really, really need it. Illinois at home. Let's say Illinois gets it done. Then you've got Penn State and Michigan. Michigan should not beat Ohio State. However, year after year, this is a game. It's like the Red River rivalry, right? You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know. It's Florida State. On paper, sure, one team should definitely get it done, but that doesn't always occur. Is Ohio State Do you think that game against Michigan, do you think they have to absolutely win that game with the schedule that they have leading up to that point if they lose a couple earlier on in the season?
I'll tell you, the fans will say they need to.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a game, right? You're looking at the Harbaugh situation of Harbaugh took years to get over the slump of beating Ohio State. Ryan Day can't beat Michigan right now, and he's got to get over that slump. You know, how much more lenient are Ohio State fans than Michigan fans when it comes to that? I mean, if I told you that, hey, Billy's going to go win a national championship, but just not beat Florida State or not beat Georgia, I guess would be maybe the better comparison. But that's rough. But no, if you said, right, so if they lose to Texas, lose to Penn State, then yeah, Michigan's a must.
Yep.
That's a must. Not only is it a must, is there an argument that last year's talent won them the game, and you look at Ryan Day and put him back on the hot seat? If you miss the playoffs with another 3-loss season, continuing to not be able to meet Michigan, they'll be favored in that game at the end of the year.
For sure.
But you're going to the big house.
And Ryan Day, people forget, everyone wanted him gone. Everybody wanted him gone before they made the playoff, before that worked out. I mean, we said on the show, I remember we were talking about it, we were like, does he have to win a national title for these fans to be satisfied? He ended up winning a national title.
And they're still not satisfied.
And they're still not satisfied. But how important are all of these games across? And the SEC is so interesting because you can't, week after week, you just can't keep losing football games. And they're all pretty competitive. I mean, top 11 schedules in college football are all SEC schedules. But there's so many, and I mean, we could go through the list. There's Texas, Georgia, there's Alabama, LSU. There's so many different matchups, but I think that some of the biggest ones that affect the playoff, I don't think that the SEC games affect the playoff as much because there's so many different teams, and I think that we could see a similar situation where there's 3 or 4 teams that end up 9-3 right there on that edge, and that's just going to come down to head-to-head matchups. But whenever it comes to Big Ten teams, there are specific games throughout the season that you have to win in order to make a playoff. But can we talk about the last week of the season? Can we talk about the rivalry games? The biggest one that sticks out to me is South Carolina-Clemson, right? Clemson will make the ACC championship most likely. If they win that, they're automatically, whatever, fine, Clemson. But if South Carolina, this is a must-win for them, I think, at the end of the season because they're taking on, again, an insanely grueling schedule throughout the year. You have to get this win, but these games we used to look at as, okay, it's just going to be a fun matchup between two teams that have had all this history together, right? I think this year, this is one of the years where you look at it and you're like, well, wait a minute. This is the last game of the year, and it could make or break who decides to go to the playoff.
Yeah, I think Clemson at that point, like you said, should be a shoo-in. I mean, I think South Carolina is going to fight for their life. Maybe they have an easier SEC schedule, so maybe by the time that rolls around, they can afford a loss. Not that there's going to be this gap. I'm interested to see if this season pans out in the idea of college basketball, right, where the top teams were so top teams that in a 12-team playoff, if like the top 8 are just clearly the top 8 and there's kind of just that gap to where there's less opportunities to continue fighting in. But if we're getting multiple 3-loss teams getting in, that is going to be so much fun from a consumer standpoint. Unless you're one of the teams, then it's going to be absolutely miserable. But I'm curious to see how this plays out under the idea of the transfer portal. Another year, of chaos, guys going everywhere and everything that played out. But I kind of want to flip this segment on you real quick as we wrap up. Last year, the planting the flags, the rivalries during rival week, everything that happened there. What is the game? And is it Florida FSU coming to the Swamp? Potentially FSU trying to ruin Florida's chance of getting in. What's the best flag planting game to watch, rivalry-wise?
Oh, my gosh. On Florida's schedule? Or just in general?
Rivalry week. What's the best matchup to look out for?
I mean, obviously, because I'm not going to think about it for too long, I'll give you another answer maybe in our update. But, yeah, I mean, I'm just going to say Florida State just because the Seminoles are coming in. The disrespect last season, I mean, 2-10 is nothing to boast about in any way, but I think they're going to have a little bit better of a year this year than they did last year. I mean, you really cannot do that much worse. But I think that the animosity between these two teams is going to be one of the most heated matchups that we've seen in Florida State history, which there have been plenty, don't get me wrong. However, I think that heading into this year and those last 2 games of the season, as we said, if Florida is in playoff contention, Florida State, you better believe that they don't even care. They won't care about a bowl. They won't care about anything else but making sure that Florida does not get a seat in the college football playoff. So that's going to be my cop-out answer for you, Michael. But up next, Jaden Ball, DJ Lagway, handful of Gators, there's 6 of them to be exact, have received a lot of preseason awards. Find out who's going to win them, who we think is going to win them this next football season right here on the Sportslab, 98.1 FM, 850 AM, WRUF.
98.1 FM, 850 AM, WRUF.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like to check the GPS directions first, before driving to the mall.
Turn right at the light. In 1,000 miles, you will reach Montreal.
Not Montreal, the mall.
Recalculating. 6,000 miles to Nepal.
No, the mall.
Checking first is smart.
Recalculating.
So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Eat up, buddy. It's almost time for school.
You take charge of your home. You take charge of your work. Don't forget to take charge of your gut health too with Nature Made probiotics. Nature Made has clinically studied probiotics that work with your digestive tract's natural bacteria, so you won't miss a beat in your daily routine. Find us in the vitamin aisle. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
There's nothing better than watching the game in person, but there is something that comes close. Your favorite chair in your own home. No long bathroom lines, no paying to park, and best of all, not melting away in that muggy, hot, sweltering heat. It's nice and comfortable in your home, right? Right? Oh, it's not. Flag on the play. Comfort violation. If you're not comfortable in your home, make a great play and call Charlesburg Enterprises, Alachua County's top heating and air company. Charlesburg Enterprises is family owned and operated. Starting in 1967, they built their reputation with hard work, honesty, and always getting the job done right. They use train equipment, and it's hard to stop a train. So if you need maintenance, repairs, or a quote for a new system, call Charlesburg Enterprises. Online at charlesburgenterprises.com. As Charles Berg himself used to say, I won't be satisfied until my customers are satisfied. License number CO 57671. Charles Berg.
Charles Berg.
Charles Berg.
Do Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keep coming back? Tremfya, guselkumab, may help, with rapid remission achieved at 12 weeks and lasting clinical remission at 1 year. Some even saw visible improvement of their intestinal lining at 12 weeks and 1 year. Tremfya is a prescription medicine used to treat adults with moderately to severely active Crohn's disease and adults with moderately to severely active ulcerative colitis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Healing is possible with Tremfya. Approximately 3 out of 10 patients were in endoscopic remission at 1 year, based on areas visualized on colonoscopy, which may not represent the deeper bowel layer or entire GI tract. Individual results may vary. Ask your doctor about Tremfya today. Call 1-800-526-7736 to learn more or visit tremfyaradio.com.
From the UF Weather Center, here is your WRUF weather update.
Heat advisory remains in effect until 7 o'clock this evening. Heat index values could be as high as 110 degrees. An isolated thunderstorm is possible late in the day. Tonight, skies turn partly cloudy. We'll drop to around 76 degrees, and Saturday expect increasing clouds and afternoon showers and thunderstorms, highs near 94. From the WFT Weather Center, I'm meteorologist William Maxim.
From athlete activism to athletic achievements, we have you covered. Your home for every important sports story. ESPN 98.1 FM, 850 AM, WRUF, the home of the Florida Gators. More of the Sports Lab right here on ESPN 98.1 FM, 850 AM, WRUF, and anywhere in the world on the WRUF radio app.
A lot of awards to look out for this upcoming football season. Among them, 6 Gators to look out for. Jaden Ball was named to the preseason watch list for the Paul Hornung Award, which goes to the most versatile player in college football. DJ Lagway was named to the All-State Werfel Trophy watch list, which goes to the college football player who is a leader in the field of community service, which basically the equivalent of the NFL's Walter Payton Man of the Year award, which, I mean, that is a big deal in the NFL.
Yeah, legit.
Jake Slaughter and Austin Barber are up for the Outland Trophy, which goes to the best interior offensive lineman. And Caleb Banks is up for the Nagarsky Award, which goes to the best interior defensive player. Top defensive player in general. I mean, that's a big one right there. Hannah, looking at these, which one sticks out the most as like a surprise? And then who do you think has the best chance of actually winning one of these?
Oof. You're putting me on the spot, Michael Tubbs. I'm going to say that I'm going to answer who I think has the best chance of winning this first. Jake Slaughter, right? I mean, we're talking about a guy who is probably going to be a first-round draft pick, best center in college football right now, one of the best linemen in college football, if not the best. NFL talent is through the roof. He has proven that he can lead this team. He did it last year. I mean, that offensive line falls apart if he's not a part of it last year, especially with the injuries that they dealt on all sides of the ball. But I think that he's got to be the guy that has the best chance of winning that award. Shocking, something that I was kind of surprised to see. I don't know. I'm really not surprised by any of these, to be completely honest with you. I think all of these guys, Caleb Banks, I mean, he's top defensive player. That's a pretty big honor just because there's so many guys out there that can do it. But he's super talented. Even Austin Barber, I mean, he's another right there behind Jake Slaughter is such a focal point of the offensive line. Maybe Jaden Ball. I don't know. I mean, most versatile player, and I think that we could see him winning something like that if he is involved. We talked about kick and punt returns, right? If he's involved with that and running the ball in the backfield for Florida consistently, who knows? But the only thing with him is he's going to have to compete with other running backs for playing time at Florida, right? He's not going to be the only guy running the ball, whereas there are some other programs that might have, I mean, you look at Notre Dame's running back, right? Jeremiah Love. That's a guy who he's going to be doing it all. He's going to be the center point of their complete offense. If they're going to be good, it's because he's scoring multiple touchdowns every single game. So you kind of have to take that into account whenever you weigh all of that. But if he's doing more than just running the ball, if he's catching short passes, 3rd and short, and you just hit him on the outside, let him run a little route, or if he's returning the ball consistently on punt and kick returns, then maybe he could be considered for that. What about you? Now you have to give your answer.
I'm with you on Jake Slaughter as far as who has the best chance of winning. He's kind of the solidified option of best center in the country. I don't know if there's any, I mean, I'm sure there's a Notre Dame guard out there that's going to be really good. That's just what they do. Jaden Ball surprised me. Most versatile player in college football. That's a big one. That's an interesting one. And if he, like you said, I mean, if he were to win that type of award, add it to the list of guys on this offense that just have fun guarding him at that point. If you're telling me he's the most versatile guy in college football, have fun playing the Florida Gators.
And nobody's won it since it was established in 2010, so no Gator has ever gotten that award. But you know what's funny is we were talking about his size earlier, right?
Yeah.
And how he's still being, considered for this type of award, but he's 6'1", how many, 230 pounds?
230,
yeah. So that's funny that he's being considered, but that says something, right? I mean, he really is one of the most versatile guys in college football, because if you can run like that and you can move like that at over 6 feet tall and at that weight as a running back, that's impressive.
Yeah. Something that's not surprising is the 5 Gators that are competing in the Athletes Unlimited Softball League All-Star Cup. Earlier this month, Amanda Lorenz, Alicia Ocasio, Jordan Roberts, and Corby Otis completed their final seasons with the league, but Kendra Falby will be making her professional debut in the All-Star Cup, and Erin Koffel, who will also participate, is not only a graduate assistant for the Gators, but won the AUSL MVP. Hannah, I know you're a big softball fan.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you most excited to see in the All-Star Cup?
I mean, listen, it's got to be Kendra Falby. I'm really excited to see how her game kind of transitions to a professional level, right? I mean, she was insane here at Florida, could catch everything. I want to see how she fares against some of the best softball players in the United States and in the world. So I'm really excited to see how she fares. But you know that my favorite on my Mount Rushmore of Florida softball, Amanda Lorenz, Alicia Ocasio, they're both on there. So I got to say, those two they're incredible, and they're just so much fun to watch. And I think that's Florida softball is, they continue to produce talent that is not only, okay, we're hitting home runs, okay, we're making insane diving catches over the back wall. It's fun to watch. They're so versatile, and they've got so many different players that can do different things, and I don't know. I love Florida softball, and I'm excited. There are going to be a lot more people added to this All-Star Cup probably over the next couple of years.
Yeah, shout out to Aaron Kaufeld. Shout out to Tim Walton for having the softball league MVP as a graduate assistant. I mean, that's just another aspect of easy recruiting. Hey, we send people to the pros, and we got pros coaching you. Across the board, win-win for everybody.
Yep.
Former Florida volleyball coach Mary Wise has become a women's college volleyball analyst for ESPN this season. Her debut will be at the AVCA First Serve event in Lincoln, Nebraska, the same day that the Gators play Pitt. Making her debut, analyzing her former team that she coached for decades at a time. I mean, how cool must that be?
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, I love whenever coaches, especially like longtime coaches, there's a few. I don't listen to as much volleyball broadcasting as normal, but I think that anytime a coach can go in and talk about a team, it's always the best commentators have the best stories and the best connections, right? And that's exactly what Mary Weiss is going to be able to do. So I'm super stoked for her, and she's not the first. I mean, there's a lot of Gator coaches that can go on to broadcast because, you know, Michael, the best of the best happen here at Florida.
Hey, we got some big news. The NFL, reported by The Athletic, the NFL and ESPN have struck a deal giving the league equity in ESPN, potentially worth billions, in exchange for the rights to key media properties, sources tell. ESPN is expected to get access to NFL Red Zone, NFL Network, and more. That is huge.
Okay.
And being a student at the College of Journalism School, my first thought reading that is how, I mean, you're dealing bias right out of the gate. You're telling me that now the NFL will have ownership in ESPN. That's how big the NFL is. I mean, they're just going to be like, yeah, we're just going to strike a deal. We want part ownership of ESPN. But that's huge. That's probably not good for Red Zone fans. Odds are you're going to get commercials now. I would assume that's the way. Trying to wrap my head around it. I mean, that's big. That's really big.
It is big. I mean, the NFL and I think that the NFL has changed a lot over the past few years, as a lot of professional sports have, with the type of viewership, but there's still so many people that care about the NFL. And, I mean, Michael, what do you think? In the next few years, do you think that with the NIL, with the NCAA settlement, do you think that it'll ever get to a point where, I know college football fans and NFL fans are very, very different, but do you think the NFL is going to, you think college football, do you see one of the two kind of rising above the other in some sort of way? I know it's kind of hard to compare, but from a fan base standpoint, do you see the NFL just taking off even more than it already has?
I was just going to say, I think the NFL is already worlds above everybody. I think the NFL, bear with me, this might get weird here for a second.
Okay.
I think the biggest things in the world, right? Oil, real estate, entertainment, and marketing.
Okay.
I think the NFL, at least in America, runs entertainment.
No,
they are
wrong.
the biggest factor. I mean, they're about to run sports, basically. I mean, ESPN runs sports. They're about to have ownership in ESPN. This is interesting from, I'm trying to wrap my head. I mean, this is a big deal. The money going on into this, potential billions. I'm curious. Coverage is the biggest thing I'm interested in. Coverage is the thing I want to see how it's done. How is the NFL Network handled? How does ESPN change their coverage? Disney sharing, throw that out there. Disney obviously is an ownership of ESPN. They're sharing stuff, which has never happened before.
$100 million. That's $100 billion. Wow. That's an insane amount of I can't even you keep saying you're trying to wrap your head around that. I can't even wrap my head around saying those two words in the same sentence. $100 billion. That's insane. But hey, it's the NFL. What do you expect? That's where the most money is, and you're right. Every single most viewed, really broadcast across TV, Super Bowls, AFC, NFC championships, whatever, it's all football.
There's a handful of college football that tries to slide in there, but the NFL runs things through and through. And I'm curious to see what this does to Fox. I'm curious if they could get I mean, if they have ownership within ESPN, I mean, do they just switch everything to ESPN?
It's a great question, Michael. I'm not on the inside. I don't know entirely. But NFL, money.
Speaking of it,
yep,
we're going to break down the Bucs season and what they have to do. Maybe take a look at, hey, Terry McLaurin demanded a trade for Washington. Does this impact where the Bucs seeding could be in the playoffs? We'll talk about it next on the Sports Lab, ESPN WRUF.
Live from Weimer Hall on the campus of the University of Florida, ESPN 98.1 FM, 850 AM, WRUF.
Hi, this is Dr. Art Mowry of Exceptional Dentistry. Listen to what our clients have to say about their experience at Exceptional Dentistry.
There's nobody else I would go to except for Dr. Art Mowry at Exceptional Dentistry. He did a full restoration, and I think I had about 8 implants put in, and it looks terrific. Dental work, let's face it, can be stressful, and it's just a lot less stressful here. That's my favorite thing, is that even if you're nervous and you come here, you're going to feel a little bit more relaxed here. A little bit more at ease. You've got TVs. You can pick your favorite show out, your favorite music if you want music, and it makes an hour go by in 15 minutes. Coming here is almost like going to a spa, not a dentistry.
This is Dr. Kim Mowry, and if you think you have dental problems that are too big to overcome, we're here for you. Please visit us at exceptionaldentistry.com. That's exceptionaldentistry.com.
Our Town Magazine and the Builders Association of North Central Florida invite you to the Our Town Home and Garden Show August 23rd and 24th at the Sports and Events Center at Celebration Point. Presented by Comfort Temp and Visit Gainesville, this year's show will feature over 150 vendors with exclusive deals you won't want to miss for all of your home, garden, patio, and renovation needs. Tickets are only $5 and children 10 and under are free. Check us out online at GainesvilleHomeandGarden.com. We'll see you there.
At Odyssey, we believe in creating a diverse and inclusive workforce. We also value the power of community and encourage local organizations to help us in referring qualified applicants to our stations. If you're a community organization interested in receiving our vacancy information, simply email equalemployment@odyssey.com. You'll be notified of all our open positions. That's equalemployment@odyssey.com. And for all our listeners, please visit odysseyinc.com/careers for a list of job openings at all Odyssey radio stations.
An active storm season is upon us, and Daughtry Tree Service says get supplies now. Water, batteries, and a power bank will keep your phone charged when power is down. We're here for you before and after the storm. We're Daughtry Tree, your tree service people.
Good news. Gator football's back.
First game of the season. Let the guys do their work. Let them prove themselves.
You, the listeners, spoke. We listened.
This is enough. You think anybody stayed after halftime? I don't think so.
Sports Scene returns Monday, August 18th, weekdays, noon to 2.
First-time caller, long-time listener.
It's always right here on WRUF, 98.1 FM, 850 AM.
It's the same old. There's nothing different.
We are the home of the Gators. Gator football's back.
Oh, wait, is that Steve?
You spoke, we listened. Hey, it's Steve Russell. I'm back with Sports Scene, weekdays, noon to 2, starting Monday, August 18th, right here on WRUF, 98.1 FM, 850 AM.
From athlete activism to athletic achievements, we have you covered. Your home for every important sports story. ESPN 98.1 FM, 850 AM, WRUF, the home of the Florida Gators. The Sports Lab continues right here on ESPN 98.1 FM, 850 AM, WRUF, and anywhere in the world on the WRUF radio app. Here's Hannah Mack and Michael Tubbs.
Well, just whenever you thought that the breaking news that Michael talked about wasn't enough, then we've got more on Micah Parsons. He wants out of the Dallas Cowboys. A few different quotes that Adam Schefter pulled from his. Micah Parsons had made a huge statement on Twitter about pretty much everything that he has been through with the Dallas organization and why he wants to leave. Few of the different quotes. He says, "I no longer want to be here. I no longer want to be held to closed-door negotiations without my agent present. I no longer want shots taken at me for getting injured while laying on the line for the organization, our fans, and my teammates. I made a tough decision." He said, "I no longer want to play for the Dallas Cowboys. My trade request has been submitted to Stephen Jones personally." There you go. There you have it. I mean, we this whole segment we're going to talk about the Bucs and some of the other trades that have affected them, but how does this affect the Buccaneers? I mean, I don't think that the Bucs are going to go out of their way to try and get a guy like Micah Parsons. Do I think that he could totally fit in their defense? Sure. I mean, their entire going into the NFL draft, the biggest area that they needed to improve on was pass rush, right? They needed an edge guy. And they were able to pick up a couple different guys in the draft. Yes, they're going to have to develop them, but I don't really see Tampa going out of their way to make a bid for Micah in this situation.
I mean, you throw him a few picks, Vita Vea, Hassan Reddick. I think you could get done. I think that's the push the Bucs need to get to a playoff contender. They're in a position, you know, I was trying to figure out, looking at the Terry McLaurin trade and trade request, you know, what does that do for the Bucs? If they take a step back, he's a 1,000-yard receiver. I did think he did more, but only a 1,000-yard receiver. Bringing in Debo, his best season was 1,400 yards a few years ago. After that, he hasn't hit the 800 mark, you know. So under the idea of, okay, where does this leave Washington in the standings? If they take a step back offensively, where does that put them? If the Bucs take a step up, how does that fit in? You know, nobody's won the NFC East consecutive years in forever now. So it was under the idea, you know, can the Bucs make a push for, you know, a potential 2-seed setting in the playoffs, which would be interesting. But now I'm thinking about it. I have never really looked at when the Bucs brought in Tom Brady. Yes, they had a team good enough to go win the Super Bowl. They did so. Outside of that, I haven't really seen them as a Super Bowl contender. They've at best been a pretty good team, but I don't know if they've ever actually hit great. If you trade for Micah Parsons, is that the push? Is that the push a team like the Bucs needs to be a legitimate? You look at them and go, they can win a Super Bowl. I'm sorry, but I cannot get behind it. I cannot get behind making a push for Micah, because that's at least, 2 first-round draft picks that you're going to have to give up, at least for a guy like that. What else do you need?
Michael, I don't know if that's and the Buccaneers don't have a history of going out for these types of players. They should. Maybe they should. Maybe that would turn things around. I don't know. But I just don't see them chomping at the bit to try and get this guy. I see him going somewhere else that has a little bit more money that can pay him. And I think he could fit into the Bucs flawlessly, sure. But there are probably some other teams that need him a little bit more than Tampa does. I don't think that their pass rush is going to be horrible this year, not compared to what it was last year. But we'll see. We'll have to wait and see.
Miami?
Oh my gosh. Not the Dolphins. This is a Bucs segment. This is a Bucs segment.
Yep. We got news. You know what?
I know.
The Jags? Could a Florida team benefit from him?
Any team could benefit from him.
I'm kind of changing it up on you live.
Yeah.
I mean, what's to say that the Bucs don't make a push for him?
I just don't think that's in there. That's not really their philosophy. That's not their scheme. I just don't see them going out of their way to make this a real legit possibility. I feel like they've gotten a lot of different guys that have fit into their group, drafted a couple. I don't know. I think it's a long shot. Okay, I think it's a long shot.
I think it's a long shot. I think it's something that they wouldn't do, and I think it's something they should look into going for a home run hit, because, like I said, I just don't see them in a Super Bowl contending spot. So, what are the Bucs gonna do? Let's say they get the 2 seed, right? They take the step up. Baker had a big jump from 23 to 24 when Liam Cohen came in. His accuracy percentage increased by like 6%, had an additional 500 yards, had a lot more touchdowns in that season. He's gone. He's with the Jags. We'll see if he can do it with Trevor Lawrence. Josh Gizzard is coming in, who was the team's passing game coordinator last year. So you're getting a guy, still going to look to throw the ball down deep. What is the ceiling for the Bucs? What is the floor?
I mean, I think if you're not, I think you have to make it. I think this is the type of year where they could realistically advance to an NFC championship. I mean, that game against the Commanders last year was neck and neck, and I think that they might have a one-up on Washington this year with everybody that they've brought back. I think Baker is in. He's dangerous. I really think that he's going to be one of the toughest quarterbacks to go up against this year. So if they can win the first, Detroit is going to still be in the picture. Obviously, Philly is still going to be in the picture. But if they end up playing the Commanders again in that wild card round, I think that they could definitely pull off a win against them. And I mean, we were talking about it before the show. Last year, if they beat the Commanders, what does their playoff outlook look like? Is it different? Did they make it to the NFC Championship? And I thought that they were going to make it a little bit farther last year, but because they didn't, I think that this is a year where you have to look at their season and go, okay, listen, it's time. You got to do it. You've won 4 division titles straight, looking for a 5th. Okay, you've already made history on that aspect, but you got to get back to the big games and the big matchups.
Yeah, I'm looking at their schedule. So open up with Atlanta. We'll see what Michael Penix is. Then you got the Texans, and then kind of the bigger marquee matchups down the stretch are hosting Philly, hosting the Niners, at Detroit, at Buffalo, at the Rams. Kind of clears up there, some more divisional games. Those are your big matchups. They're going to be able to prove that they can play with the best. You got some rough games on the schedule. The floor is winning the division. I think unless Atlanta makes a jump, the Bucs will take the division.
There is no reason that Tampa should not win this division.
But if they get stuck, if the Rams are dangerous, and I think they can be this year, I think the Rams are going to be really good. If the Eagles win back-to-back and Detroit stays there, or even Green Bay takes over that division, the Bucs can still be flirting with that 4-3 seed. That means you're not getting the home field advantage later on in the playoffs unless you get the upsets to happen. And that's where I look at making a big play for a free agent or a guy demanding a trade, where I think you got to pull the trigger on that and make a move, or at least offer it. Call them, see what's there. If Jerry wants 4 first-round picks, then you say, no, we're going to have a better season than you anyway. If it's within reason, I think you take the chance. I do. I really do. I think you're stuck otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, and it's Todd Bowles is not a flashy guy, right? You wait and you wait for Tampa to do something that shocks you, But at the same time, Michael, I mean, they guaranteed Baker Mayfield. He's got his money. He's got his $30 million. I don't know. It's very uncharacteristic for Tampa to do something like that. However, it's possible. I mean, it's very, very possible. And I know if it happens, you better bet we're going to be talking about it, because it's going to be real interesting. All right, today was a fun one. We got to talk all things Florida position battles. Broke down who is the best backup option for DJ Lagway if his health does not hold up. We broke down the receivers that might not get a lot of reps for him to throw the ball to, but can they capitalize in a punt or kick return situation? The defense, a lot of leaders. Are they as liable as a lot of people think they are? I think there's a lot of guys that can come in and back people up. And then we previewed Tennessee, Florida. Going to be a great one. College football playoff. What are the biggest games of the season? We've got less than a month until it all goes down. All right, that was a Sports Lab. That'll do it for us today. We'll be back with you Monday. A lot more to talk about. See ya.
the Spurrier's Gridiron Grill Studio. WRUF Gainesville, W251CG Gainesville, WRUF FM HD2, and on the WRUF radio app.